In a world where mental health matters, through Food for Thought, we aim to create awareness and empower individuals to take charge of their mental well-being. Join us as we delve into the complexities of mental health and navigate the path towards healing and resilience. Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetey.
Welcome to another episode of Food for Thought with Professor Ndetey. We are tackling a very sensitive issue, gender-based violence. I would advise you, if you didn't watch the first part of this recording, either check out our YouTube channel, Family Media YouTube, or download the Family Media app. Watch the first episode, because on the first episode we were defining what gender-based violence is. On this second episode, we want to look at the types of gender-based violence. Professor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So last week you helped us gain a clear understanding and a definition of what gender-based violence is. What we want to do today is to look at types.
Okay.
Mostly when we hear gender-based violence, the first thing for most people that comes to mind is physical. Watu walichapana. Yeah. Somebody beat his wife.
Yes.
Yeah. That is the first thing that comes to mind. So help us understand, is this the only form or are there other forms?
As a matter of fact, yes, this is the first thing that we hear, because that's what gets reported. But long before you get to a stage where people go physical, there's a lot of emotions behind this. And these emotional dynamics take a long time. They develop a long time, and then eventually they manifest in physical violence.
Okay.
So physical violence is, as it were, the end point of an emotional violence. So actually the commonest is emotional violence.
Okay.
And this is supported by our own statistics. And these emotional violence take very many different forms. It can be complete withdrawal, no communication at all. You are not communicating with the other person. You see, not talking is a communication.
Yes.
Is
communicating something very strongly.
Yes, actually can be even more stronger than talking about it. So emotional withdrawal, not paying attention to the other person, and this emotional withdrawal is not just talking. It can go to other emotional withdrawal in terms of intimate relationship, so that there is not that kind of intimate emotional relationship. I think the viewers know what we are talking about. It can also be expressed. Express, that is a high expressed emotion. It's like if you want something, you have to shout. You have to have a kind of aggressive posture. All of this is emotional emotional abuse. Or it can be you must do ABCD. If you don't do this, then you are not a submissive wife. Is like there's an element of control. You want things done in a particular way, and you don't want to listen. All of these are different aspects of emotional abuse. Very common, much more common than physical. Okay. Now, physical is when there is what it is. Yes, physical.
Before you talk about physical, I'm wondering, does verbal abuse fit within emotional?
Yes.
And somebody is calling you names?
Yes, because it is meant to hurt the way you feel. It's supposed to hurt your feelings, make you feel guilty, make you feel worthless, putting you down. Whatever you do cannot be right. All of these come under the rubric of emotional abuse.
Would you say this is a kind of abuse that happens quietly, goes unnoticed, because the way they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yes.
And especially I'm looking at it from the perspective of men. Would we say a good number of men go through this, but you may not even consider it as abuse?
Yes.
Umezoea tu anakuaga na kelele.
Anakuanga na kelele, and it's like it's a normal thing. But it has happened to so often you become saturated. You start ignoring it.
Yes.
Nevertheless, it's still emotional. The fact that you do not react, or the fact that you are you train yourself not to react negatively to that kind of situation. Does not mean that it does not happen. It does happen. Pastor, let me also put this way.
Yeah.
When you start talking about emotional abuse in the way in which we have talked, even before we get into violence, it is critically important to understand that there is something deeper that is going on. We are most likely talking about depression. We are talking about anxiety.
Okay.
We are talking about more severe mental disorders, where there is an element of irritability as a presenting symptom, where there is an element of anger, where there is an element of very many things because of an ongoing psychological problem.
Is this on the victim or the perpetrator?
It can be both of them.
Oh, it can be both of them.
The person, especially if you say it is a victim, let's talk about the victim. And they are having, they have anxiety, they have depression, they have mental illness, they have and they present like that. They present with these symptoms. The husband or the man will not be able or does not understand why this person is behaving the way they are behaving.
Yes.
So their reaction is, this person is just kichwa ngumu. And then they respond that way.
Yeah.
It could also be the man. In fact, in terms of management of violence or whatever type, it is very important to create an environment where people can talk. Do you know, this is a story that I get told so many times.
Yes.
I mean, I'm so much used to it. And I think it's important. It's usually the woman who goes to look for help. And you give them time, maybe 1 hour. They tell you, well, I'm having a problem with that man. I've been having these kind of problems. He does all of these things to me. And I really don't know why he does these things to me.
Yeah.
And then the lady will say, but I think I loved this man, and I like to do things in a slightly better way. And you ask her, but you are telling me you love him. Have you told him that you love him? You say, well, he's not lovable. Yeah. So anyway, and then eventually,
yes,
the man is painted like devil incarnate. And it could also be, if it's a man, the woman is painted like the devil incarnate.
Yeah.
And then eventually you bring in the other member, the partner, and you give them the time to talk.
Yeah.
And you'll be able very soon to realize that it is not what they tell you. It's very important when we are dealing with this kind of situation, try to get a balanced view of what is happening. Don't make judgment on the basis, and I'm talking about emotional pain, because whatever it is, whatever emotional pain is going on, violence is not acceptable, is not negotiable. So we are not talking about violence.
We are not talking about violence.
We are talking about emotional abuse. Please get these people to talk. And more often than not, these are the things that we are going to discover, that there is an ongoing, more fundamental psychiatric problem which has never been identified and managed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump to physical.
Yes.
Yeah, because now this is what escalates and it gets to a place where now it gets physical.
Yes. Yeah. Well, physical can take very many different forms. Some of them can be hitting, pushing down, shoving them around, anything that is physical. And then the degree of physical assault can take very many forms.
Yeah.
People get punch in the head, in the mouth, the teeth
are pulled out.
In the eye, you get people with the black eyes, pulling out the hair, and you know that can be extremely painful.
Yeah.
And of course, it goes in some stages. It goes all the way, and there is homicide. Somebody dies in the process. And what might happen is that is not, and listen, I want it to come out very clearly. You know, I have said in this forum, and let me say it again, and you listeners, listen. The family, anywhere in the world, is the most violent institution.
Yes, you've said that before.
It's the most violent institution. And it's not in the Kenyan institution, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
And many deaths that occur, people think you are likely to be killed by thugs, in wars, and things like that. Can I put it this way? If you ever die in the hands, if you are a man, if you ever die in the hands of another human being, that person is likely to be your wife.
Wow.
And if as a man, you die in the hands of another human being, that person is likely to be your wife. These are global statistics. They are not my statistics.
Yes.
Just to illustrate how commonly, you see, when it reaches a stage where you die at the hands of somebody else, it is physical violence.
It is physical violence, yes.
And you know, the interesting thing is, this domestic violence that results in homicide tends to occur when people are gathered together and they are supposed to be celebrating, they are supposed to be happy. And guess what? Around April, during the Easter holidays, and around Christmas, when people are getting together, they're supposed to be. That's where you get the spike.
There's a spike.
Yeah. And these are all over the world. It's not Kenya. It's the same here in Kenya.
Yeah.
And you know what? They tend to occur, say, in the early evenings. The death, the killing does not take outside the family. It takes place within the family.
Yeah.
And the most likely place is the bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know what they are likely to use? The knife you use cutting meat to eat your food, or the objects that like this one, you just come and throw it at another person. And when these people, the story goes like this. You get a man who does that, has killed his wife, and is maybe through strangling and things like that. And some of them are asked, why did you do that? Why did you kill your wife? Or why did you kill your husband in such a painful way? There is a gun in the home. I'm talking about statistics outside there. Why did you use a gun and kill her and not to put her through that pain? And you know a very common response? No, please don't be. What do you mean? I just couldn't use a gun. I would have killed my wife, and I didn't want to kill my wife. In other words, the death is accidental. It was not meant to occur.
It was not premeditated.
Exactly, and that is why, take them to court, and then go and get the Kenyan statistics. They go to committee. They are taken there as part of the law. And if ever they get sentences, usually very short sentences. It's usually very short sentences. Because it was not premeditated. And that's what exactly happens in family situation. And as I've said, there's an element of a mental illness. I don't think we can ever run away from mental illness.
Mental illness. You know, I would say if you are in a relationship and you're being abused physically or even emotionally, don't wait. Find somebody you can talk to. Find solutions early. Don't wait until it's too late. Until the next episode of Food for Thought with Professor Ndetei, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. God bless you.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetei.